take a journey back in time to 19th century London, when a young entrepreneur named Philip Morris opened his first tobacco shop in the heart of London. He was passionate about creating high-quality handmade cigars and tobacco, and his customers knew that they could get the best quality from him. But as the years went by, Morris became more focused on making cigarettes, and that was the beginning of a tumultuous journey. His cigarettes were unique and had a sweet taste that appealed to many smokers. Morris had a vision to bring his products to other countries, and it wasn't long before his company, Philip Morris International, PMI, expanded to the United States. The company grew to become the world's largest tobacco manufacturer with its famous brands like Marlboro. But there is also a dark side to the story. For decades, PMI intentionally spread misleading information about the harmful effects of smoking. The company tried to hide that cigarettes were harmful to health, while they knew internally as early as the 1950s that smoking carried great dangers. This had led to addiction of millions of people around the world and serious health problems such as cancer, lung disease, and cardiovascular diseases. PMI has even gone to great lengths to oppose anti-smoking laws and has targeted the sale of cigarettes to minors to maximize profits. All of this while knowing that their products are destroying lives. The targeting of minors. It's Friday night and you're on your way to one of the biggest music festivals of the year. You have your ticket, your sunglasses, and you pack your Marlboros in your pocket, all ready for a night of fun. When you arrive at the festival grounds, you are greeted by colorful banners and loud advertising signs. But there is one brand that stands out: Marlboro. Everywhere you look, you see Marlboro logos on hats and t-shirts, lighters, and even keychains. There's even a Marlboro VIP lounge with comfortable couches and free cigarettes. This is how PMI entices young people to smoke their products, by making them think that smoking is cool and trendy. It's not just about festivals. PMI also has an Instagram account for Marlboro, where they share photos of people who look like the cool and trendy friends you want to have. You see photos of young people dancing at a party, riding a motorcycle, or attending a music concert, all with a Marlboro in their hand. And if you think that is all fake, think again. These photos are taken by professional photographers, and the people in them are selected based on their looks and popularity on social media. This is how PMI tries to convince young people to smoke Marlboro, by making them think that smoking Marlboro will elevate their social status. But why does PMI do this? The simple answer is profit. Young people are easily influenced and tend to experiment, and once PMI gets them accustomed to their brand, the likelihood is that they will remain customers for years. But this is a dangerous game. Tobacco is one of the most harmful and deadly products out there, and PMI is playing with the health of young people. If you thought PMI stopped there, you're wrong. Over the years, they have taken even more disturbing actions. For example, PMI has actively targeted developing countries where they have less strict laws on tobacco advertising and sales. This has led to an increase in smoking in these countries, where healthcare is often limited and people cannot afford to get sick. But we'll come back to that later. First, let's look at the addictive power of cigarettes. It's a sunny day in the city. People are walking on the street and going about their daily business. Some of them walk past a group of smokers sitting on a bench, smoking cigarettes. You smell the smoke from the cigarettes, and it's not pleasant. It's a smell that makes you nauseous. But for some, it remains a habit that they can't let go of. It is sad to think that these people not only harm their own health, but also affect others in their environment. All of this is due to the addictive properties of nicotine, a substance naturally found in tobacco. It's an addiction that often begins as an innocent habit and then develops into a life-threatening disease. And yet it's not the fault of these smokers that they're addicted. They're victims of an industry that deliberately concealed the truth about the harmful effects of their products. Philip Morris International, PMI, is one of the biggest players in this industry, and they've done everything to prevent the truth about tobacco addiction from coming to light. It's shocking to know that PMI has been aware of the addictive properties of nicotine for decades and have even conducted research on ways to enhance these properties. Instead of making this information public, they've done everything to hide it. PMI was aware that concealing this information would lead to more people becoming more addicted to their products, which in turn would lead to higher profits for PMI. It is incredible that PMI can look at themselves in the mirror, knowing that they prioritize their profits over the health and well-being of millions of people. They even made their products more addictive so people find it harder to quit smoking. The fight against smoking laws. In this third chapter of our video, we will talk about PMI, a company that has tried to oppose anti-smoking laws and has deceived millions of people. Prepare for a dark story full of manipulation and deceit. It all began when more and more countries began to introduce anti-smoking laws to protect people from the dangers of tobacco use. These laws limited the way tobacco companies would advertise and sell their products. This was a major threat to PMI as their profits depended on enticing people to keep smoking. PMI decided to oppose these laws through a large, clever plan. They searched for countries where anti-smoking laws were not yet in place and began their campaign there. They focused on influencing politicians, health organizations, and public opinion to prevent the laws from being implemented. But how did they do this? PMI hired an army of lobbyists, lawyers, and PR professionals to spread their message. They also funded studies and research that supported their own views and attacked studies that were against them. They used their enormous wealth and influence to manipulate and change public opinion. But PMI didn't stop at manipulating politicians and health organizations. They went even further by exploiting vulnerable groups such as poor people in developing countries. They offered these people cheap tobacco and made them addicted to nicotine. In this way, they created a new generation of smokers who they could continue to exploit. But PMI went even further than that. They also targeted young people and children. They created colorful and attractive packaging and flavors to entice young people and make them addicted to nicotine. They knew that young people are easily influenced and that they would become lifelong customers once they were addicted. The feeling that PMI had here was purely profit-driven. They didn't care about the health of their customers or the effect of their products on society. They saw their customers only as a means to earn more money and were willing to do anything to maximize their profits. Now you must be wondering, why did PMI do all this? The answer is simple. Money and power. PMI was willing to do anything to maximize their profits and expand their influence. They were not willing to adapt their business model or protect the health of their customers. So, dear listener, what can we learn from this story? It is clear that companies like PMI are willing to do anything to maximize their profits, even if it means putting the health and well-being of millions of people at risk. It is important that we are aware of these practices and that we resist companies that prioritize profits above all else. We must continue to lobby for anti-smoking laws and health measures that force companies like PMI to take responsibility for their actions. We must also be aware of the ways in which companies try to manipulate us and influence our public opinion, and we must resist this. It is time for us as a society to recognize that profit cannot be the only goal of companies. We must hold companies accountable for their actions and ensure that they take the interest of society into account. Let's work together to create a future where companies act responsibly, where the health and well-being of people are a top priority.